Itty bitty.
All right. And we are live. Okay. So you are right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching us live recording our podcast, Mad World Thursday. And we're just going to go ahead and get all of the disclaimer stuff out of the way. Hi, I'm Summer, the host of Mad World Thursday. And this is, come over here. We have two cameras going.
Hi,
And
I'm Erin.
She is the co-host of Mad World Thursday. So tonight's episode, we actually have something kind of fun going on, and we're going to introduce you to our third co-host,
Who is biting me, which is why I keep jumping.
This is our third co-host for the night. This is Pixie the possum.
And she is the subject of a large chunk of what we're doing tonight.
Yes, we are actually going to be talking about possums tonight.
I think she's hungry.
So, yeah, I fed her once, but if she's biting, that means she's starting to get a little bit hungry. So we can actually feed her again, and you guys can watch her eat maybe. But yeah, so this is what we're going to be talking about tonight for tonight's podcast. Is we are actually going to be talking about possums.
We also need to send the link onto Facebook because
Jeff is supposed to be sharing the link on Facebook.
Okay, good. Because I know a young lady named Amber who wants to see this possum.
So we're going to try to set this up the best way we can for everybody to see. But, so we are recording right now live. And let me make sure I got everything going. All right. So we are recording live. This is Mad World Thursday podcast. I am Summer. This is Erin Weeks, the co-host. We are recording live via
Audacity.
Audacity is recording our vocals, audio, but we have the Reddit broadcast and we have YouTube going at the same time, YouTube Live. So it's going to be interesting. And like I said, this week's podcast episode is going to be about possums. And we have our friend Pixie with us, our Pixie baby.
Buddy.
Yeah, she is a baby possum. She's being rehabbed. In
the world of possums, she's about 2.5 to 3 months old.
Yeah, she fell off of her mama. And when they're too young, when they're this tiny, they can't survive on their own. So someone has to help them along. And so that's what Erin and I do occasionally. When somebody shows up with a little baby that needs some help, we keep them until they grow up big enough to go out on their own. And I'm going to give everybody a good view of Pixie. So what we usually do with Mad World Thursday, and like I said, this is going to sound weird to the people listening at home on the podcast later, but our podcast is typically about everything paranormal and
conspiracy theory,
cryptozoology, just all of the weird and mad stuff in our world. Well, this week's not going to be any different, actually. I got this little baby this week, and I said, you know what? Folklore. What about folklore mythology of possums? Let's do that. So we're going to discuss possums. We're going to discuss the folklore and mythology surrounding them. And she's going out of view for Reddit. But this is our baby Pixie, like I said. And so we're going to just kind of put her up just for a second. The reason being, for anybody watching on Reddit, the first part of our podcast, what we usually do is we do the 5 weird news stories of the week. And then I promise we will bring her right back. So podcast listeners, you are going to be able to see Pixie on our YouTube channel. She's going to be live on YouTube. So if you don't want to listen to this podcast and just want to go straight to our YouTube channel, it's Mama Night Owl. You can do that. But hey, listen to the podcast and then go check her out on YouTube. But just so everyone knows, especially on Reddit, Mama Night Owl is our sister podcast. Mama Night Owl, if you like creepy stories, Mama Night Owl is Mama Night Owl's Oddities and Curiosity Shop. And basically, it's the story of Mama Night Owl, who lives in Gloaming Falls, South Carolina, and all of these strange and weird things that happens to her there. So that's our sister podcast. And then Mad World Thursday is the paranormal, conspiracy theory, cryptozoology podcast that we do every Thursday. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about baby possums. Well, just possums, but And I'm Summer, and this is Erin.
We're also one day going to update this whole room so we can both fit.
Yes, we started the live thing just as a fluke one day, just to do it, and people really liked it. So we were like, okay, let's do it again. And then tonight I was like, let's try Reddit because they're doing the whole new public access broadcast thing. Let's just try it out. But okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the top 5 news stories of the week. And that is actually this week, Erin chose all of
the news stories.
She did. So I'm going to turn the camera toward Erin.
Okay. So now, for those of you who check out the YouTube or the Reddit or wherever they're going, all of the links are going to be added, so you're going to be able to see all of this stuff if you want to click on it.
MadWorldThursday.com.
So the very first news story I found was did you see the touching story of the bulldog, the big bulldog in Georgia who's sitting on his balcony and he's very sad because he can't play with his people?
No.
So we think about us in quarantine. We think about ourselves and how sad we are. But, animals are highly social creatures. And there's this, old English bulldog who lives, I think he's in Atlanta. And his name is Big Papa. And he likes to play with the children in his apartment complex. That's what he does for a big chunk of the day. And since COVID-19, he is stuck in his apartment, and his owner has taken pictures of him to show everybody how sad he is because he can't play with them. And so this has garnered like national attention. And so there are people posting about Big Papa. And let's see, one of them said, I would throw myself in front of the virus if it meant Big Papa could go play with the kids. And another one posted, my COVID-19 priorities have now shifted to whatever is best for Big Papa. And so even some celebrities are getting in on the story. We got the Game of Thrones star, Maisie Williams, replied, not being dramatic, but I would literally die for Big Papa. Ellen DeGeneres has also said, stay inside, flatten the curve, do it for Big Papa. So everyone is chiming in on this. Poor little Big Papa. He's just stuck, just wanting to love on his kids. And yeah, so I saw that one. I thought I would share that because his little picture is so sad. The next one is we're a family show, right?
We are a family show, but yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do my best.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But that, you know what that makes me think of?
What?
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
Yes, Stu started singing that. I was like, So the next story is the age-old question: can the coronavirus be spread through farts? As in passing gas, as in breaking wind.
Did people actually? I mean, okay, wait. So people thought this was a thing, and did it get researched?
Oh, it got researched.
Oh.
That's why I say we're family friendly. I'm going to have to be careful here. So two doctors in Australia, because I guess they're under quarantine too and really don't know what else to do with themselves.
They're just bored.
Decided that they needed to know. And so the determination was, this is what he says.
Okay.
Luckily, we wear a mask, which covers our farts all the time, talking about our pants. So, referring to the fact that we wear garments, I don't think that what we should do in terms of social distancing is being safe. You don't want to fart too close to people.
Well, you don't want to do that just
anyway
for social etiquette.
He added the caveat.
If you want friends.
He added the caveat. You don't want to fart too close to people with your bottom bare.
Okay.
Okay.
So for those of you who are married,
Australian emergency physician Andy Tagg also floated the question via Twitter. So can bare bottom based emissions of someone with coronavirus be silent and deadly? So Tag pondered whether flatulence itself is an aerosol generating procedure. He determined yes. In a recent study, in fact, suggested a post-flush toilet plume could even be cause for concern when it comes to spreading the coronavirus.
Okay, well now see, okay, it can be spread in fecal matter.
Well, that's where we're going.
So, okay.
It's not so much, and see, can I read this on the podcast? I don't think I can.
Yeah, just read it. It's all right. Go for it.
Plus, scientists have confirmed that fecal oral transmission is itself an issue due to the presence of the virus in poop, which is why health officials in Oregon and New York have even cautioned against
oral contact with feces during sex.
For, those of y'all who are into that. Studies have clearly shown that a significant percentage of COVID-19 patients do have GI symptoms at the time of illness. So it's not just the places you don't want to go with your kids in the room. It's also hand washing for reals. Because when you go to the bathroom, everybody takes their phone with them.
Yes.
So
clean your phones, dang it.
That's the thing, is that I would like to think we all wash our hands after going to the bathroom. Maybe we all don't, but how many of you stop to think, let me spread some hand sanitizer all over my phone after I've gone to the bathroom? Because you're picking that phone up before you're washing your hands.
Yep.
So people are not thinking about that. And if you pick your phone up and then you put it to your ear and your face.
And I mean, that's not, that's good advice. Wash your phone. That's good advice even after the coronavirus scare is over.
Right. I am hoping that we walk away from this with several things, that carry into the future. One of them, people don't really have to work in offices all the time.
No. I was not set up for that. That's why I ended up with the job that I have right now as a social worker, where I get to travel a day, because I was not set up for 9 to 5.
Me neither. And not just 9 to 5, but predictable days. I was not set up to do the same thing every day, all day. But like, I have had jobs that required that I be in that chair from 8:30 to 5 with a half-hour lunch. And I always, back then, I thought this is totally not necessary, and if you consider all of the work that people are achieving at home, businesses that have, not the small businesses that are the mom and pops, the service related industries, but attorneys' offices, certain functions at banks. You consider all of the jobs that some people are being able to completely do from home, or 80% do from home. What if we only went into the office maybe 2 days a week? Think of the gas that it would save, the greenhouse emissions it would save. Think of the paper it would save. So I hope we walk away with that. I hope we walk away with much better hand washing techniques. I hope we walk away with, a better understanding of what it means to be able to move about in a free society. There's a lot of things I hope we take with us. This has nothing to do with farts. So I think that it's not so much the fart that's the problem, because we wear pants. It's the shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's number 2. All right. The third one is one I know Summer knows about, and it cracked me up to no end. Mayor de Blasio in New York week before last, he set up an app so that people could basically rat each other out. If you had to go if you're an essential worker and you had to go into town to do something essential and you happen to see people out and about, he wanted you to take a picture of them, which would track their geolocation and send it up through his app so that he could then dispatch law enforcement to go police people. Now, as much as, we're healthcare workers, we understand the social distancing, we understand a lot of things. I don't believe in a police state.
Yeah.
This backfired on him so badly. He ended up getting inundated with being flipped off, with dick pics, with, all kinds of obscene drawings and all manner of things that just clogged up his system and totally didn't work. And I have to say, exactly.
Yeah.
I
love this country.
Yeah. Photos of extended middle fingers, the mayor dropping the Staten Island groundhog, news and coverage of him going to the gym have all been texted to a special tip line that de Blasio announced on Saturday, according to screenshots posted on Twitter. Other users sent the message, "We will fight this tyrannical overreach," to the service, an automated message in part that said, "Hello, and thank you for texting NYC311." But the whole purpose of that, I mean, nobody needs to be put in the position of being a tattletale. We are way past that. And I'm going to imagine that, and I mean, just this is the psychosocial component of it. I'm going to imagine that people who simply have to run out because they're losing their minds are only going out for an hour or two and coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think people are trying to go around the town sick with COVID, licking all the doorknobs. I don't think that's going on.
I think it's very rare. It's 1 out of a million people doing that are crazy.
And I'll tell you, I would much rather somebody run out, go to a park and spin on a spinny thing and then go back home than, do you know, we had 2 shootings in our hometown yesterday?
Yes.
2. Because, well, I mean, obviously all kinds of reasons. Correlation is not causation. But seriously, people are really getting stir crazy, and it's bad. One of those shootings literally on the street behind my house scared me to death. We don't have shootings over there. So it was a lot. Number 4, and I'm going through these kind of quick because I got a big one on number 5 that might take a minute. I thought was hilarious. It's news out of Germany. There is a website now in Germany. It's blitzrecker.de, and that's BLITZRECHNER, blitzreckner.de. This is a website that will help you calculate just how much toilet paper you need.
We did that. So whenever the whole coronavirus thing happened and they were saying, okay, well, you might have to be quarantined in your house for up to 2 weeks, Kevin and I, because Kevin's a number cruncher, my husband's a number cruncher. And so we actually sat down and we're like, okay, so on average, how many rolls of toilet paper do we need? And we did that. We were those people.
The website can help reassure shoppers that they have enough. Just tell it how many rolls you have and how often you go to the toilet. You can adjust the settings for the number of wipes per trip and the number of paper squares per wipe, the number of family members in your household, and how long you plan to stay home. A person with a stockpile of 10 rolls who uses a typical amount of paper 3 times a day should survive for 53 days, it says. A message notes that this is 39 days longer than the recommended 14-day quarantine. So it really reassures you.
Well, I wonder if it matters if it's 1 ply or 2 ply. You think that adjusts?
Are you separating your plies?
I was going to say, is it adjusting the math somehow, though?
I don't know. Can we weigh it by gram? I mean, what are we doing? Hey, you want to buy 3 grams? No idea. And let me tell you my personal toilet paper testimony. I did not hoard. I refused to hoard. I went when all of this started some 5 weeks ago. I went and I bought the regular amount of toilet paper that I usually buy on a shopping trip and 1 more. That's what I did. So for the last 2 weeks, I have been trying to find toilet paper, and I have been to every store in my town, including the drugstores, the Dollar Generals, and the Family Dollars, and I have found not a single roll. So I got desperate because I'm counting them down, and I got online. This happened to me 3 times. Remember the old days of eBay sniping where you're watching an item and you're watching it and you're waiting till the last 3 seconds to put in a bid so you can get it? That's what was happening. I was putting toilet paper in my shopping cart on Walmart.com or Amazon, and by the time I got my payment information loaded in, it was gone. This was happening to me. So I finally managed a purchase of 2 purchases of toilet paper. So I'm going to be okay. Still not hoarding amounts, but they were delivered today, and it'll be all right. We're going to be okay. Not only that, I have so much faith in the world that the toilet paper was coming. I went to see a hospice patient today, and the husband, who can't get out because, he's the caretaker of the wife, was telling me that he couldn't find any hand sanitizer or toilet paper. And I actually had a roll in my car. It's the emergency roll that I keep in a bag hidden in the way back because... and I gave him my roll of toilet paper because I'm a good person. So
Your emergency roll of toilet
my
paper.
emergency roll of toilet paper was gifted to a gentleman today in a rural county who could not get to toilet paper.
Okay, so I know number 5 for you is a big one.
It's a big one.
So what I'm going to say is since we're on Reddit Live along with Facebook, YouTube, and we're recording for the podcast, I'm going to say let's hold off on number 5 and then jump on that one after.
Because number 5 is going to turn into a whole thing and possibly a mini series.
So yeah, so we're excited about number 5. But because we're on Reddit and because we have Facebook Live and because we promised everybody a baby possum, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about
opened our YouTube chat room.
Nobody's on it right now. But Reddit, everybody's asking questions on Reddit.
Reddit. See, I need to learn Reddit. She put it on my phone and she loaded it up and I don't know how to use it. I'm old.
So basically somebody asked if we were going to learn about the biology of possums. Yes, we're going to talk about the biology of possums.
Let's give a little history on possums. Hang on.
That's actually let's
on us and possums.
Oh, how we
and what we
came
know
across possums. Okay, so actually, I can start with her. So Erin, my friend Erin here, has been rehabbing possums for a long time,
about 30 years.
And I said, I think possums might be my spirit animal. Next time you get a baby possum, can I have one? Can I help rehab a baby possum? And she got one, and I babysat Annabelle. Her name was Annabelle for a little while. Annabelle went back to her, and then I ended up with Goblin. He was not a pretty possum.
He wasn't pretty. He wasn't nice.
Oh,
he was bitey.
He was a bitey baby, and yeah. So that's how I ended up doing it with her. So right now I just have the one baby.
And you had Tituba last year.
I had Tituba last year. Tituba was the name of the other possum. As you can tell, I tend to like very weird names. We had Annabelle, which Erin named Annabelle, but then we had Goblin and the Tituba. And Tituba was the original accused witch at Salem witch trials.
Yes. Okay. So here's how I came into possums, and I don't even know if you know this whole story. I've always rescued anything. Like if my cats were dragging something in from the yard, I would wrestle it from them and try to take care of it and make it live. My mother was a nurse, and so she would help me with this, and she'd come up with all kinds of, ideas. Let's give it coffee to speed up its heart. Let's, keep it warm. Let's do these things. And she would do it with me. So from a very young child, I have always been, into raising animals. I lived in Central America for a while as a child. I've raised monkeys. I've raised all kinds of things. And when we came back to the States, I was like 12, 13 years old. And I got involved with a group called the South Carolina Wildlife Rehabilitation Coalition or something like that. And my veterinarian suggested, because I was always bringing things to the vet, half dead critters. And so I got in with the wildlife rehab people. And at a young age, I was probably 14 or 15 when I was keeping things without anybody's supervision. So I get a call one day, actually from the Riverbanks Zoo. My name had been handed to them by somebody, and they had 8 baby possums. And I had never raised possums before. So I begged my mom, we jump in the car, we go up to the zoo, we get these possums. And this was the first time I ever raised them. And I was going by a handbook that I had that was given to me by the wildlife people. And I did not know at the time, and we'll talk all about this tonight, possums are really prone to metastatic bone disease. They will get rickets, and it's painful, and it will kill them. So I had 8, and I was taking oyster shell calcium and grinding it up and putting it in their food. And just one of those, it didn't absorb right. And that poor little possum got rickets and it died. And that's the only possum I have ever lost, because after that, I learned my lesson. And I started using a different supplement for anybody who's interested, Cal Dolomite powder. Everybody who gets a possum from me gets a salt shaker full of it. And since then, we've never lost a possum, but I have probably rehabbed in my life maybe 250 possums, just because they come in bundles typically. And so I have several friends. Summer's one of them. Amber is one of them. I have several friends who will take possums off my hands if I get too many. And right now I don't have a possum, and Summer does. So that's really cool. But she thought that it would be great to explore the folklore and all the legends behind possums. Kind of not really cryptozoology, because here's one right here, but still very, very interesting. So
Yeah. So well, I actually saw a couple of questions about them on the Reddit page. So just so you know, that we are talking about the opossum.
yes,
Okay.
the Virginia opossum
The
specifically.
Virginia opossum.
Yes.
The possum is actually an animal that you're going to find in Australia. So we are on the Western Hemisphere. So you're going to find the opossum, starts with an O, but a lot of us, the O is silent. Eastern Hemisphere, they have the possum. They are two different animals. They are not the same animal. So that's something that to know, that when you see the possum with an O, that is usually the possum of North America. So, and that's who we're talking about. We're talking about the Virginia possum. Pixie is a Virginia possum. Okay. So, just so you know, she is a marsupial. Now, most marsupials are actually in Australia. And somehow North America magically ended up with
One of our
own. So marsupial means she has a pouch. So on her belly, and you can't really see it right now because she's such a because she's so tiny, but on her belly there is actually a little furry circle, and that is where her pouch is. So when she gets older and becomes a mama, that's where she's going to keep her babies. So she is related to kangaroos and wombats, wallabies, koala bears. That's what she's related to. So yeah, let's see, what are bandicoots or something else that they're related to? And just so a lot of people who, so somebody's asking, how does a possum fur feel? Very soft.
I have often wondered, because around the South, they're really kind of considered a pest unless you know what they are. And we're going to get into that too, because they're our number one fighters against Lyme disease. It's amazing. So their fur, I've always wondered why they weren't used in trapping, which, thank goodness they weren't, but it is luxurious fur. It is almost like mink. It's not as soft as mink, but it's real close.
Yeah. I kiss her often and rub her fur on my face because, yeah, she's very, very soft and very, very clean. That is something a lot of people don't realize, that now possums out in the wild, especially on their backs, the fur is not going to be very clean because they want to keep it dirty. Mm-hmm. But in general, they do bathe themselves after they eat. And that's actually what she's been doing while we've been sitting here, is she's been grooming. So after they eat, they groom.
And they don't just groom at this age. As little tiny, because they're embryos, they're born like, tiny and pink. They, as soon as they can move their back legs, they are grooming. They're constantly, it's a behavior that's like in their genetics. It's not learned. It's something that they just do.
I'm going to put her down just for a little bit because my hand's getting tired. But, so where the word comes from, the word possum, it's actually it came from, it's borrowed from I had to look up how to say this, and I hope I'm still saying it correctly. Powhatan word?
Powhatan?
Well, yeah, maybe it's Powhatan.
Powhatan
word. It's an Indian word, Native American word, and it has an Algonquin root, but it basically just means white animal. And the way they were named was in Jamestown, Virginia. When the British settled Jamestown, Virginia, the British saw a possum for the first time, and they used the Native American word to name them. So that's actually how it came from, where it came from. So when they were first recorded, they were described as dog-like. And They were also recorded as having half a head like a swine, tail like a rat, of the bigness of a cat, and tastes like a pig.
Really?
Yes.
That would be surprising to me.
That's what they
I hear they're very greasy. I hear they're very, very greasy as as food.
So
I have known many of people who has chewed a possum.
So you asked whether or not we were going to learn a little bit about possum biology. This is where that's coming in. So let's talk about possum reproduction. Okay.
Oh no, you're not going there.
I am.
Oh,
Because so many people don't know.
It's so weird.
So many people don't know about this, and I find it extremely fascinating. And
I haven't even looked at your notes. I didn't even read them. What are you going to say?
Okay. So the reason the opossum is in the order of animal that it is, and I'm going to say this wrong again. I know isn't it Didelphimorphia?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the order that a possum is in. And the reason it's in that order is because it actually comes from the Greek word meaning double wound. So that is exactly what it sounds like. A female possum has two sets of
two wounds.
She has two sets
or two horns.
Basically two reproductive systems, kind of. So how this works, okay?
We could draw pictures.
We could draw pictures, but you know what? Do your own research on this. Just trust me that I'm telling you the correctly.
The only thing more disturbing is a duck penis. I'm just saying.
Well, kangaroos, female kangaroos have 3. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, a male possum, let's just put it that way. A little boy possum, his penis is bifurcated. What that means is, imagine a snake tongue.
So throwing the peace sign is going to mean something totally different to everybody now.
So the male penis is split like a snake tongue. The female vagina has, in fact, 2 holes. And this is actually going to play into some of the mythology about possums later. So what happens is, after they have sex, both sets, if it works properly, both sets of reproductive organs she's impregnated twice. So, so
Redditors, if you weren't paying attention, you are now.
Right?
We got a what and a nice.
So these babies are actually born after 12 to 13 days. So they're actually premature babies. So if anyone's ever had a premature baby and know the stress of that, all of these babies are born premature, and she can have up to 20 babies. Now, they have to travel from her vagina into her pouch. Okay? So that means that only about 10 of those babies maybe survive. Okay? When these babies are first born, they're only about the size of a honeybee.
Wait, here's the coolest thing. Tell them how many nipples she has.
That's what I was fixing to get to. Okay.
So I'm not even looking at her notes. This is just in my head.
The number of nipples and how they are done is very cool. So, so these babies, when they are first born, they are the size of honeybees. Okay. And then they have to travel.
Little smaller than gummy bears and look about like it.
Yeah. And so when they born, they travel from the vagina into the pouch. Now, the pouch is not some slimy, icky, nasty.
It's not a womb.
It's not a womb. Okay. That's one of the things that I actually listened to. There's a great podcast called the Species Podcast that I suggest everyone go and listen to, because he does a new species every week. And he did it, like one of his first ones in January was on a possum. And so he actually talks about the inside of the womb just a tiny bit, but I disagree in how he describes it. So just so you know, female possums do have a placenta, but it's very short-lived. So that's why the babies are born premature and these babies actually break out of the vagina on their own. In other words, the mama doesn't push them out. They actually have to break out on their own and then travel to her belly, where they get in her pouch. Now, the pouch itself, like I said, this is not some gross, slimy, creepy thing. It's just a purse. Imagine a fur-lined purse with baby bottles in it. That's the mama's pouch. It's not something nasty. Now, a mama, so like I said, only about 10 of the babies will make it to the pouch, even though there's 20
Go find her
born.
a snack.
Okay. There's some baby food in the little thingy with her. So they travel to the pouch. There's 13 nipples, okay? 12 of them are in a circle inside the pouch. One is in the center. So I've always said that if, I was going to have a witch's familiar, it would be the possum, because there's got to be something weird about that going on. There's 12 nipples on the outside and one in the middle. So 13 nipples inside that pouch. And like I said, it's just a fur-lined purse with baby bottles in it. Basically, that's what you're looking at. So the babies go and they stay there. They actually grow. They probably like double in their size in like 7 to 10 days. And then they open their eyes about 8 to 9 weeks. And they release their bond on the nipples for the first time. And then after that, they ride on their mother's back. So I don't know if everybody can see her actually lapping the baby food, but she's eating some chicken and rice baby food. But, and she's enjoying it a lot. I fed her before all of this just because I knew I wanted her to be held some, but she evidently was still hungry. She's actually, this one, every possum has a different personality, which is really kind of funny. This one's not crazy about food. She's not a food hog like the most.
You say she just put an entire kibble in
yeah.
her.
She's really not though. She really hasn't been like the crazy food possum like the other ones have that I've had. So she gets full and she's like, okay, I'm done. And the others are still trying to stuff themselves. So about 3-4 months is they start finding their own food. And then once they are done, they're done. Like they are solitary animals. They are nomadic. They do not really find a home. They don't make nests. They still nest for other people, or they stay inside, our man-made structures. And they don't really stay anywhere more than like 6 months.
They're little nomads. They sleep, kind of in a different place all the time. You'll find them under your rose bush one night, and then you'll find them in your garage if you've got cat food loose, and then you'll find them in the neighbors, bushes or in the woods across the street. They just constantly are on the move.
And these are extremely beneficial creatures. So let's talk a little bit about, just because somebody mentioned it on Reddit, let's talk a little bit about playing dead. The idea of playing dead. So it's not really playing dead. So think fainting goats. If anybody's ever looked up what a fainting goat is, basically what happens is these little guys, they get so scared that scientists are pretty sure it's involuntary, and they go rigid. So they will actually appear dead to anything trying to chew on it. And they will, they'll go stiff. Their bodies will go stiff. They will start to smell bad. They'll actually secrete something from their mouths and something from their anus to make them smell bad and appear dead. They have evolved. The interesting things about these animals is how they have evolved to survive. People like to say that they're living fossils. That's actually being disputed right now. They think that, but when I say they're not living fossils, I'm talking about the difference between 70,000 years, 70 million years and 20 million years. Okay. It used to believe that they were living fossils living about 70 million years ago. In the form that they're at right now, they think they've only been about 20 million years. So that knocks them out of the living fossil category.
She wants you to let her head go.
Yeah. That knocks her out of the living fossil category, but they have been around forever. So how they've evolved, and one of the reasons they've been around forever is, one, they can eat anything. There are no dead things around, well, then I'll eat bugs. If there are no bugs around, well, then I'll eat the fruit. And if there's no fruit around, then I'll climb up in a tree and find nuts. I mean, they're extremely, they're versatile eaters. So they'll eat anything that you're, and not only that, but they'll eat things that most of us cannot. Most animals, most creatures cannot eat, let's say, venomous snakes and scorpions. And how about this? 16 shots of cognac. A possum broke into a liquor store and opened up a bottle of cognac and drank enough that it would actually have killed most humans. He didn't even have a hangover. So their bodies are, they can eat almost anything, literally.
Party animals.
Yeah, party animals. And they stay up all night, sleep during the day. I mean, they're kind of awesome that way. Something about their physiology. So, they have a prehensile tail, which basically just means that they can grab onto things with their tail. Now, the whole hanging upside down by their tail thing doesn't happen when they're adults, but it does happen when they're babies. They can do it when they're babies, but when they're adults, they can only do it for a very short period of time. So I'll let you see her little tail, everybody. See her little tail. Now, interesting thing, they do have opposable thumbs, but it's not on their front feet. So these little front feet do not have opposable thumbs. However, if she'll let me do it, see if she'll let me do it. Her little back feet do have opposable thumbs. So,
and it's an interesting front hand because the front hands have 5 fingers. So they look like they would, but they actually naturally split like this, like that.
They're like little
There's
stars.
kind of a little natural split between these two.
And that's actually what their tracks look like in the wild, is little star prints. So they do have opposable thumbs, but it's on their back feet. They do have a prehensile tail. They have the most teeth of any mammal. They have 50 teeth. And they're sharp little boogers, just so you know. But the playing dead part, so let's just go back to that. Basically, what's happening is their brains are going, oh crap, something's trying to mess with me. And their body kind of shuts down. They go rigid, they lay down, they start secreting something that smells nasty, so it makes them look dead. So that's what the playing dead idea comes from, is they're not actually playing, their body shuts down. And that is one of the ways that they have evolved, because they are not fast. These are not fast creatures. Cats can run way faster. They can only run about 3.5 miles an hour. How's that? Like, they're very slow. And it's very short periods of time. Like, we're talking from here to the door and they're done. Like, very, very, very slow. And they have no defenses. I mean, they really don't. Their bite could be kind of nasty if they tried to bite you, but they're scared. These are scared animals. So unless you're offering one food, we've been bit by them, offering them food because they're just overzealous and they bite your finger instead. Or if you corner one, it might try to bite you, but honestly, all that's really going to happen, it's going to pass out on you. One of the things they do is they open their mouth really, really wide and they hiss. And they actually, what they'll do is, I'm trying to put my hand where everybody can see, they'll open their mouth really, really wide and they'll hiss for a really long time and they'll go.
Because they're showing you all 58 of those teeth.
Yes.
And a lot of them.
Lots of teeth. And so they want to show you how ferocious and terrible and mean they are, but they're not. They're actually very, very, very.
Now if you put your hand in their mouth and they're scared and they haven't passed out yet, it's going to bite.
Yeah. Don't think that means I'm telling you to mess with a wild animal. This is a wild animal.
Does your research talk about rabies?
Oh yes. My research does talk about rabies. I was trying to cover all the big points. So rabies. So another reasons why these guys are still around after 20 million years, other than the fact that they can eat almost anything and that they have, they can survive almost anything except for extremely cold weather. Because like I said, when they go play dead, which we said that's not actually what they're doing, but when they supposedly play dead, they kind of go stiff. If an animal, they can actually survive most things that would kill anything else. So if an animal attacked them and say broke several bones in their body, they're still going to survive. So that's one of the weird little things about them. So like I said, they've evolved. But another reason that they've been around for so long is they don't carry many diseases. So like, for instance, most of the diseases that would kill most of us don't kill them. For instance, rabies. They can't even carry, well, it is so rare for them to carry rabies because their body temperatures are so low that it's almost non-existent for them to have rabies. So the idea
They will get rabies if they live in areas that raise their body temperature. So we're talking Central and South America near the equator,
Yes.
Because their natural body temperature is usually, I think it's in the 95s, is it?
Mhm.
I'm not sure. It's pretty low. And so if they live somewhere that, gets up over 100 and stays up over 100 and their body temperature itself rises, then they can carry it, but they don't carry it typically. The worst you're going to get from a possum bite is an infection from something rotten they ate earlier.
Yep.
So what else?
So our Reddit is fixing to actually go up. It was 45 minutes, but this is Pixie. I'll see if I can connect us back to Reddit if anybody's interested, but not if we're YouTube, Mama Night Owl on YouTube if you want to go there.
Yeah, and come into the chat room.
So let's see if I can get in broadcast. Are you sure you want to permanently end this broadcast? No. Do I have to?
See, I love this camera because it's got me almost like gauze filtered. My hair actually looks good. But if you see me on that camera, my hair just looks like I didn't brush it.
Yeah, it's amazing how the camera for YouTube Live makes me look like I don't have that much of a double chin.
Right.
But then the camera from my phone makes me look every bit almost 40. Yeah. So, okay. I don't think I can get back to YouTube Live anymore.
You mean Reddit?
Reddit Live. That's what I mean. Public access or whatever. So anyway, I don't know who Chase Armour is, but Chase is in the...
Well, I'm not going to say her name, but I know her.
Oh,
She's
Chase.
a friend of mine.
Hey, Chase. So we'll keep going about the Bubba possum. So we're going to talk about how possums are beneficial. I'm going to let Erin kind of discuss that with you.
Compare little one.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to read. Let's see. How are possums? Okay. Actually, I'm not going to have to read all this stuff because Lord knows I know it. So possums are beneficial because they really eat a lot of pests, which help cut down on disease transmission like Lyme disease. I was saying that some research came out probably about 2 years ago where it was discovered that an opossum, this little thing, once it reaches about 3-4 pounds, will eat between 5,000 and 7,000 ticks per month in the summertime. So Lyme disease is a #1 killer. Well, it's not a #1 killer, but it certainly causes all kinds of issues for a lot of people. And I've got a friend who's got Lyme disease, and it's just affected in a lot of ways. So these little guys really, really help cut down on ticks. If we did not have them, we would have a lot more Lyme disease than we do. They also eat cockroaches. You'll find in the South, usually it happens where somebody invariably gets a possum stuck in their home over the summer because it followed, some kind of critter inside, and then they want it removed. And of course, you don't want a wild possum living in your house, but you do want one living under your house. Trust me, because they will eat any creepy crawly that goes up under there. They don't care. They eat lizards, they eat snakes, they eat roaches, they eat crickets, they eat everything. And so that's pretty cool. What else do you have on here? They're resistant to snake venom, and that is true. I think there's only one. I think the coral snake can actually harm a possum, but other than that, the cottonmouths, the rattlesnakes, water moccasins, they can go right past it. Doesn't bother them. And there's even been some research. I hate thinking of little possums being the subject of animal research, but there's been research into possums to figure out what about their blood is resistant and possibly create medicinals or some kind of therapeutics for humans if they get bitten. Let's see. What else you have? Myths about opossums. Do you want to do the myths? That they carry diseases.
Have we covered all of the fun things about her? We talked about her reproductive system. We talked about her teeth. We talked about her toes and
We talked about her 13 teats in a circle.
Her 13 teats. Well, it's 12 teats and then one in the middle.
One in the middle.
Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about what they eat, pretty much everything. A baby possum like this start out on formula, but she's lapping,
Mhm.
meaning she'll drink out of a bowl. So I give her a little bit of formula just from an eyedropper if she wants it, and give and like from the spoon, give her. So like when I want to watch her eat and make sure she's eating, I give like the baby food and stuff. But other than that, honestly, I just put the food in with her, and she finds it on her own. They're pretty good at that. Let's see, what else could we possibly cover about?
Did you talk about how they end up like becoming solitary? They're born, they stay in their mom's pouch until they outgrow that. And then as they outgrow it, they climb around their mom like a playscape and they hang on to her. And so it's not unusual to see a mom with possums this big, 8, 9 of them, holding on to her fur. And as they get too big to hang on to her fur, they drop off and it's sink or swim at that point. So the typical possum, if you find a possum in your yard that from nose to rump, not including the tail, nose to rump, is 6 inches, then that's a possum that has been dropped and ready to go on its own. A lot of times people will find them at that size and think they need to be rescued. And I mean, truly, they are vulnerable at that size, but that is how nature made them. They're supposed to be on their own when they're that big. When you're doing a rehab like this, she won't be released until she's at least 2 pounds, because she will not have been out in the woods and won't have acclimated to the sounds and the temperature changes and all of that. So she'll have some time in an outdoor cage, or, if I'm wintering one over, I'm not going to put them outside to spend the night because they're not acclimated to that. But I'll start bringing bugs and stuff into the house, and like in a litter box or something with dirt, so she can dig through and find them. And you teach them how to do their own thing. So she'll be here probably till we're in April, probably till mid-June, maybe July, and then she'll be on her own.
And she's grooming. She's 8. She's happy. That's actually one of the ways she's happy after she eats is she starts grooming. That's what they do. And
that's another way that they eat so many ticks, is that ticks actually will get on them, and they are constantly grooming, and they groom every square inch. Like all of their their claws are like combs. They pull everything off of themselves and eat it.
Yeah. So they can eat a massive number. They can eat like 5,000 ticks in a season.
Yeah, I had said that. Like, and depending on the season, it can be up to them in a month. They can eat that many.
So they seriously fight Lyme disease. That's one thing that a lot of people don't realize about them, is that they are carrion eaters. They clear off our dead animals. We do not want to live in a world, especially in North America, without a possum.
Yeah. Like you see a lot of dead possums on the road, but possums, you also see a lot of other things that are dead on the road. And we work in rural counties. I carry gloves in my car. If I see something that's freshly killed in the middle of the road and I have time and there's not anybody around, I'll stop and I'll pull it off the road, because I don't want possums out in the middle of the road trying to eat it and then getting hit by cars, because that happens a lot.
And sometimes when you see a mama hit on the side of the road, she might still have babies inside her pouch.
Yeah. And that's how we get a lot of rescues, is that somebody hits a possum and they stop because they thought it was a cat, and they get out and then they see all these babies scattered everywhere, and then they don't know what to do. And so they put all the babies in a box and they bring it home, and then they post on Facebook, I don't know what to do with this. And hi, I know what to do with this.
Yeah. So
we come upon them in a lot of ways. Like I think Summer said this one was found at a construction site. It had just fallen off too soon. Mom got startled and ran off. Now, a lot of times if it's in the woods or it's in a relatively quiet place, if you've got like a large backyard and you see a baby possum in your backyard,
Mama might come back.
Mama might circle back for it. But if it's too dangerous, I mean, this is nature. That's why they have so many babies, because they know. Oh, lifespan. Did you talk about their lifespan?
They do not have very long lifespans. Mm-mm. Now, I mean, you just think about it, okay? So they're actually, they come from mama's belly, from her vagina, when they're only like 13 days old, okay? And then they double in size over a couple of days once they get into their mom's pouch. So think about that. They do not live long. They can actually, in captivity, they can actually go like blind and deaf from old age in just 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, I have heard of possums that have made it like 5 years in captivity, but the typical lifespan of a possum is about 3 years unless something eats it or runs it over.
Yeah. They don't live long. So people ask a lot about keeping them for pets. I mean, people do keep them for pets. Here's my thought on that. If I come across one that is if I come across one that
Here, get warm.
is not releasable, okay? But something to know about possums is when they're tiny like this, they're adorable and they're great to hold and love on, and they love you because you're giving them food and warmth and shelter. But at a certain age, they start to detach. In other words, they don't love you anymore and they want to go on their own. And so, and you'll notice when that happens, they'll start hissing at you more, they'll start growling, they'll start just act, and they want to be on their own. They want you to let them go.
Yeah,
So,
they do.
People do keep them as pets. You would have to have it's a huge commitment that I wouldn't really suggest unless you do have one that's
This is
releasable.
what I think. And remember now, I've been doing this for 30 years. What I think is that people who have them as pets have convinced themselves that the possum is happy. Because the possum in a cage in a house is going to sleep 20 hours a day. It doesn't have anything else to do. It doesn't have anywhere else to go. And so they'll see the possum for the few hours a day that it's awake while it's eating or grooming, and it seems fine and happy. The activity of a possum should be awake and moving and doing things at least 8 to 10 hours a day. So I feel like that people who think they have a happy possum, they have a bored possum who's just sleeping a lot. And there's nothing we can do in captivity. Like I can mitigate the bone stuff by using the dolomite powder, but I can't in any way replicate the diet that they're going to get. There's obviously something in carrion that they need. There's something in decomposing flesh that they need for their bodies to function as they're supposed to. There's minerals in the dirt on the bugs that they eat that we just don't have in our homes. So I'm not a fan of keeping possums as pets. I don't think people should do it. I think that we should raise them until they are big enough to go on their own and then let them do that, because they're also so needed in the wild. And with urban encroachment like it is, we kill so many of them with our cars and our machines and running them off. That we really, you're just doing them a disservice. Now, a rescuer is going to end up with a possum that can't be released. It's back here. It's under my hair.
Oh,
see, that's the cool thing too, is if you got some volume, you can take your possum anywhere and no one will know.
And actually, here's something very interesting. One thing that rehabbers will do with their baby possums, because they have to be kept warm, is stick them in their sports bra. Because it's just a pouch.
We've done it.
Yeah. I've gone out to eat with possums in my bra. I've gone lots of places. I've gone shopping with possums in my bra.
I've forgotten that I've had a possum in my bra.
Yeah.
And it starts.
And it'll move.
It starts moving and you're like, whoo. And people are. Yeah, it happens because they need to be warm. They need a pouch, and a sports bra is a beautiful pouch for a possum.
Yep.
So, all right.
So we've talked about that they eat pests, which makes them very beneficial to us. We've talked about, so let's talk a little bit about possum myths. We talked about how they carry diseases. They don't. We talked a little bit about them playing dead, which they're not actually playing dead. They're involuntarily dead in a lot of cases. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit about folklore and mythology of the possum. And this actually turned out to be way more interesting than I even expected it to be. I thought it was going to be kind of fun and kind of neat to do, but no, this was actually pretty cool. So these guys have been around. She's going to make her pass them to me again.
Oh, she's totally asleep.
Poor baby. Poor baby. And poor baby. Were you a sheep? Were you a sheep? So these guys have been around for, like we said, 20 million years in the form that they are right now. And so that has given people a lot of time to make up legends and myths about them. So let's just talk a little bit about it. So in North America, they appear in myths and legends as kind of a buffoon or a braggart, and their ability to play dead is actually comes from being embarrassed. So they yeah, she's falling asleep. So
She's really tired.
she's sheepy baby, sheepy baby. She'll just fall asleep in my hands.
I got a sports bra.
That's my baby. So possums supposedly make fools of themselves kind of often in North American folklore, and in Central America and parts of southern Mexico, they actually play the role of a trickster or a hero, which is interesting to be such a different, because in North America they're kind of idiots, and in Mexico they actually play the role of something kind of cool. And they also are a symbol of fertility. I wonder why. And they are actually, their tail is used by some women with certain tribes in folk medicine to help deliver babies. So
I don't even think about how that happens.
they actually make a drink out of their tails to supposedly help deliver babies. And then and they also play an important role as a fire bringer. So in South American culture, they have the folk. They took on the role of giving humans fire. So that's kind of interesting. So why one of the pretty much every culture who has lots of possums in their midst have stories of why their tails are bare, why the possum's tail has no fur, which it actually has very, 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 it's not quite completely bald, but yeah. So here's the folklore for that. So the Cherokee legend is that they used to have a bushy tail, and the possum was very, very proud of his tail, and he would brush it every day, and he would sing about it when the animals would get together for a dance. And so the rabbit was very jealous of the possum's tail. And the reason the rabbit was jealous is because Bear pulled her tail out. And so she decided that since the possum was constantly bragging about his big bushy tail and constantly combing it and constantly singing about it, that she was going to play a trick on Possum. So the trick was played when Rabbit was tasked with letting all the animals know that there was going to be a great council meeting and dance planned for all the animals. When the rabbit passed the possum house, he asked the possum if he was going to go to the meeting and dance. The possum said he would, but only if he could have a special seat. So he believed that since he had such a special tail, he wanted to sit where everyone could see it. So the rabbit agreed to take care of the special seat for the possum, but also Rabbit would send someone to a possum's house to prepare the possum's tail for the party. So Rabbit quickly ran off to see Cricket. Okay. Cricket, it was known by Native Americans as being the barber. So he was the best at clipping hair. So Rabbit told Cricket he needed to go prepare Possum's tail for the dance and what to do to get it ready. Cricket set out to Possum's house. Possum was in his yard, and Cricket told him he was there to prepare his tail for the dance. Possum relaxed and laid out in his yard and fell asleep while Cricket groomed his tail. Cricket did what Rabbit said and carefully combed his tail, then clipped it very close to the roots. Cricket used a red ribbon while holding the clippings for all the loose hair in place. So he tied a red ribbon around the possum's tail and kept all loose hair in place after he clipped it off. So the night the possum headed to the dance, he was very proud of his tail and wrapped in red ribbon. He saw his special seat and then went to the dance floor to dance and began to sing. He said, "See how beautiful my tail is. See how long my tail is. See how fluffy and beautiful the fur on my tail is." And as he sang each line, the animals cheered louder and louder. He got so excited, he undid the ribbon on his tail to show off his fur, and it all fell off. The animals began laughing, and the possum was so embarrassed by his bald tail, he fell over on the dance floor and played dead. Poor possum. So not only did he lose all of the fur on his tail, and that's now why it's bald, but that's also why he plays dead. It's because he's just so embarrassed.
Did you talk about the prehensile nature of his tail?
Yeah, their tails are prehensile.
So that's why they don't have any fur on their tail.
Yeah.
Because it grabs.
Yeah.
And fur's not grippy.
Yeah. So here's a second legend. This legend, I could not find the source for it, but there was a time long, long ago when the sun drew very near the earth. Soon plants began to wither and die. Streams began to dry up, and all the creatures on Kukna, or our Mother Earth, began to fear death from hunger and thirst. The animals held a council to decide how to put the sun back in the sky where it belonged. A volunteer was sought to accomplish this task. The possum was the first animal to volunteer to move the sun back into the sky where it belonged. Now, at this time, the possum had a bushy tail, like the fox. So it was that the possum wrapped his long bushy tail around the sun and began to pull the sun back into the sky where it belonged. But the sun burned all the fur off the possum's tail, so that he released the sun and did not succeed at his task. As so, it is that the possum has a long, hairless tail to this day. Something to know about possums, they do actually grab things with their tail and carry them. Mm-hmm. They'll actually grab all kinds of things with their tail and just carry something along with their tail. So let's see. One day, Possum was walking in the woods around sunset when he spied Raccoon. Now, Possum had always admired Raccoon because he had a beautiful tail with rings all around it. So Possum went up to Raccoon and said, "How did you get those pretty rings on your tail?" Raccoon stroked his fluffy long tail fondly and said, "Well, I wrapped bark around the tail here and here and here," he pointed. "Then I stuck my tail into the fire. The fur between the strips of bark turned black, and the places underneath the bark remained white, just as you see." Possum thanked Raccoon and hurried away to gather some bark. He wrapped the bark around his furry tail, built a big bonfire, and stuck his tail into the flames. Only the bonfire was too hot and too fierce. It instantly burned all the hair off of Possum's tail, leaving it entirely bare. Possum wailed and moaned when he saw his poor tail, but there was nothing he could do but wait for the fur to grow back. Possum waited and waited and waited, but the tail was too badly burnt by the fire, and the fur did not grow back. Possum's tail remained bare for the rest of his life, and Possum's tail has been bare ever since. So that is supposedly, so there's lots of myths about how they lost their fur on their tail. I don't know why that was so important.
I don't either.
Because rats...
And it all has to do with being embarrassed or feeling stupid.
Yeah, like why? Why
do people assume a possum had to have hair on his tail? It wouldn't be a very useful tail.
No. I mean, not for grippy things. Mm-hmm. All right. So, and that, I want to be able to cite it correctly. That myth was, the Creek or Muskogee tribe. Muskogee tribe. Sorry, I butcher words. So why possums have a pouch? Now, this would be the one that I thought that there would be tons of folklore on, because to me, that would be the weirdest thing, since this is the only marsupial in North America.
Right.
But no, there really isn't that much folklore about how the possum got its pouch or why they have a pouch.
D&D.
One evening, Possum was playing in a field with her babies when Big Bat came swooping down and grabbed all the little ones and carried them away. Possum shouted and begged for Bat to bring her babies back to her. but he would not. Bat put the little possums into a deep hole in the rock and watched over them. Possum walked around and around the forest crying for her babies. When Wolf heard her wails, he came to her and asked what was wrong. Big Bat has taken my babies from me and he will not give them back, she told him. I will get them for you, Wolf said, if you show me where they are. So Possum showed Wolf the deep hole in the rock where Bat watched over her babies. Wolf bravely walked into the darkness, but a moment later, she heard him cursing, and then he came running back outside saying, I am sorry, but I cannot retrieve your babies. So Possum kept walking around and around the forest, crying for her babies. When Rabbit heard the wails, he came to her and asked what was wrong. Big Bat has taken my babies from me, and he will not give them back, she told him. We will get them for you, Rabbit said, if you show me where they are. So Possum showed Rabbit the deep hole in the rock where Bat watched over her babies. Rabbit boldly walked into the darkness, but a moment later she heard him cursing, and then he came running back outside saying, I am sorry, but I cannot retrieve your babies. Possum was frantic. Brave Wolf and bold Rabbit have been unable to retrieve her babies. So she starts wailing again. Now comes along Turtle, the Highland Terrapin. And he says, I will get them for you if you show me where they are. Possum showed the turtle the deep hole in the rock where Bat watched over her babies. The turtle carefully walked into the darkness. A moment later, she heard him cursing. Big Bat had thrown hot ashes down in the path in front of him, burning his large flat feet. But the turtle kept going in spite of the pain. He could see the little possums huddled together in a few paces away. They were crying for their mother. Turtle saw Big Bat hovering above them, and he scolded Bat for stealing the babies from their mother. Turtle picked up the little possums and carried them out of the deep, dark hole. Big Bat drove him away a few times, but he kept bouncing off. Big Bat tried to drive him away a few times, but he kept bouncing off the turtle's hard shell before he could reach the babies. Finally, Bat gave up and flew away. Turtle cut a hole in the belly of the happy possum mama and placed her babies inside it. You keep your babies in there until they stop nursing, he told her. When they no longer need milk to drink, you can let them out. From that day onward, possum mamas have carried their little babies in a pouch until they are old enough to eat on their own. That's very sweet.
No, ouch.
Aw, no.
Cutting a hole in your tummy? Ouch.
But he was cutting a hole in her tummy to help with
It's sweet.
the place.
but
Yeah.
ouch.
Place to have the baby possums.
Your baby possums.
The next couple of myths are just very short, and it's also the possum myths I found were very interesting because it's all just trying to explain why the possum is the way it is.
Weird.
Yeah, like people just didn't understand what the heck was going on. So, why the possum plays dead? The Biloxi.
That is
Biloxi
correct.
tribe.
Biloxi, yes.
The ancient possum thought that he would reach a certain pond very early in the morning so that he might catch the crawfish on the shore. But someone else reached there first, and when Possum reached there, the crawfish were all gone. The person did this every day. Possum did not know who it was, so he lay in wait for him. He found it was the Ancient of Raccoons. They argued about the crawfish and the pond. They agreed to see which could rise the earlier in the morning, go around the shore of the pond, and catch the crawfish. Raccoon said, I rise very early. I never sleep until daylight comes. Possum said the same thing. Then each went home. Now, Possum lay down in the hollow tree and slept there a long time. He arose when the sun was very high and went to the pond. But Raccoon had been there ahead of him and had eaten all the crawfish. Raccoon sang the song of the raccoon as he was going home. A possum stood listening. He sang the song of Possum. He met the raccoon who had eaten all the crawfish. Ha, said Raccoon, I have been eating very long and I am going home as I was sleepy. The possum said, I too have been eating so long that I am sleepy, so I am going home. Possum was always telling a lie. People say this of the possum because if one hits that animal and throws it down for dead, soon it goes up and walks off. So the possum just lies all the time. It's a liar. It lies about it's whether or not it's dead.
It lies about being dead. It lies about its tail.
So why the possum has a large mouth, and this is the Choctaw. Very little food there was for Deer one dry season. He became thin and weak. One day he met Possum. Deer at once exclaimed, "Why, Possum, how fat you are! How do you keep so fat when I cannot find enough to eat?" Possum said, "I live on persimmons. They are very large this year, so I have all I want to eat." "How do you get the persimmons?" the deer said. "They grow so high." "This is easy," said Possum. "I go into the top of the high hill, then I run down and strike a persimmon tree so hard with my head that all the ripe persimmons drop to the ground. Then I sit there and eat them." "That is easily done," said Deer. "I will try it. Now watch me." Possum waited. Deer went to the top of the nearby hill. He ran down and struck the tree with his head. Possum watched him laughing. He opened his mouth so wide while he laughed that he stretched it. That is why Possum has such a large mouth. So he could catch all the persimmons. The poor deer.
No, I'm stuck in a place where I'm imagining all of the Native American folk sitting around a fire telling this to their children, and I'm thinking that this was entertainment, and our children have to have PS4s.
Right?
That's what I'm thinking.
I would much rather sit around a fire and make up stories about why animals have certain body parts that they do.
I don't know. You like the PS4?
Well, I do have a PS4. I do kind of. I can kind of like a PS4. But some of the other myths about possums, those are the ones that I could find that actually could, type up for you. But some of the others, one of the things that I thought was very interesting is that with folklore in Mexico, it's more of a spirit than it is an actual animal. So if they are worried about their crops,
okay,
they will leave. So what does this remind you of? They will leave corn or some type of wheat or something as an offering on the top of their door for the spirit possum to eat so that it doesn't destroy its fields. So it's like the Passover.
It is. They're going to be passed over by a possum.
But the thing is, here's what I don't understand. Possums, they're not going to be the ones to ravage your field and ruin your crops. You need to worry about
really not.
You need to worry about mice and locusts.
Mice and deer and have you ever seen a deer eat a tomato?
Yes.
Sorry. Everybody, YouTube that. Deer eating tomato. Just trust me.
So yeah, I don't understand why they were so worried about the possum.
Unless they think it's an offering so that the possum will protect the fields.
Anyway, so
I have no idea.
One of the really interesting, so Hima the baby. Again, I can't
She's so
not
sleepy.
hold the baby. I want to hold the baby.
She's like, but I'm all warm under Aaron's hair.
I keep her warm. So here's one of the legends about possums that I found very interesting, and one that goes along with what we've been talking about their anatomy.
Oh.
And this was not a legend that died, it died recently. In other words, this was as documented as late as 1930s that some people actually believed this. So some people actually believed that the female possum sneezed their babies out.
Oh, wow.
So remember we were discussing the male possum's penis?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's bifurcated. So people knew that. They knew that the male possum's penis was like a snake. And they knew that, they didn't know, because it's not obvious by looking at them, that her vagina has 2 holes. So the only other place that they could think that the male would go would be her poor little snoot.
Oh my God.
So people thought...
You're telling me something I have never heard of before.
People thought, and as recently as this was documented as recently as the 30s, that
you poor thing.
that the male mated into her nose, her poor little snoot. And then when she was ready, she would open her pouch and sneeze.
Well, because when
The
they have
fertilized
little babies in
eggs
there, they're
into
constantly
their-
sticking their noses into their pouches.
Into their pouch. So
Oh.
she would stick her little nose into her pouch, and there were fertilized eggs in her nose. And then she would sneeze them into her pouch, and that's how possum babies were conceived.
That just speaks to how dumb human beings can be.
But I mean, come on. If you
One
never...
possum autopsy would tell you the answer to that question, people. How long have humans been chopping up dead things? I mean, I can go there, but so far.
So, yeah, that was actually very recent, and I thought that was absolutely fascinating.
That's just weird.
So, yeah, so...
Oh, the sinus headache. Oh, wow.
So yeah, so that's some of the mythology and legends of the possum. The only other one was that supposedly he brought us...
Oh, this has nothing to do with possums, but this dude's talking about your tattoo.
Oh, the tattoo.
The Star of David.
Star of David tattoo. So no, I'm not Jewish. This is just supposed to be in my own thought process, Old and New Testament together.
Christianity came out of Judaism. You can't have one without the other. Well, I guess you can, but Christianity can't have Christianity without Judaism.
Right. So that is where that's where that came from. But so yeah, so we've talked about the possum. We've kind of talked about their biology. We've talked about their eating habits. We've talked about
the folklore, the Indian tales,
what their fur feels like. It feels like it's the softest stuff you've ever felt.
How they get metabolic bone disease.
Yeah. Evidently, dead things have lots of calcium.
Well, it's the breakdown process. It's the actual, yeah. Vitamins from where?
It says varmints.
Varmints. Well, yeah, they are varmints, and a lot of people think that they are, but that the whole hour and change we've been talking is about, yes, people see them as pests, but if we didn't have them, our world would really, really suck.
Yeah.
Because they eat dead things, and so imagine how stinky they would be. They eat ticks more than any other animal, so there would be like Lyme disease everywhere, and ticks are just damn it nasty. And we're rehabbers, so we come up with animals all the time, and we live in South Carolina where possums are always in season.
Yeah.
So we have possums.
Yeah, about the only month of the year that they don't have babies is November, but that doesn't even really come into play in South Carolina either.
Mm-mm, they have them in November here.
Yeah.
So yeah, varmints, but really, really useful creatures. Very dumb. They're not smart.
Okay, now this is something...
They're dang near blind.
Yeah, no, they are blind.
They
blind.
Can't see anything.
But here's something that's very interesting about the dumb possum. So there have actually been studies done recently on the possum brain. And turns out, one thing to note, of course, brain size doesn't automatically measure how
size is the wrinkles.
Right? It's not how smart you are. But one thing to know about the possum's brain is it is very tiny. So they took the brain cavity of a cat and a raccoon, and they put and a possum, and they put dry peas in.
Mm.
The cat and the raccoon, it was 125 and then 150.
The raccoon or the possum was 1 pea?
The possum was 25 peas.
25 peas.
Each pea brain. Their brain cavity.
They have one goal: clean up the earth.
Yeah, they just want to eat and make little baby possums. So
and be left alone.
They're like the sharks in Jaws. They just want to eat and make little baby sharks. So that's something to know but however, when it comes to finding food, they have done tests where their memory and doing a maze is better than a cat or a raccoon. Mm. So when it comes to finding food, these guys are the bomb. They can do that very, very, very well. But as far as smarts go in other areas, it's just not there. These are not bright creatures. That's one of the reasons why I personally think that they're not very good pets, is because they're
not going to bond with you.
They don't bond.
Yeah.
Like right now, she loves me because I give her food and I'm keeping her warm. And I'm bugging her while she tries to sleep, but
she really wants to go to sleep. No, and as having done this for 30 years, you can see it. It's almost an overnight or an over couple of days change when they get to that point when they can reproduce. They truly just detach. They're just done. They go from gently taking food out of your hand to grabbing it and going to the back of the cage. I mean, they don't attack you or anything. They don't want the pet. They don't want you petting them. They don't want you, telling them what a sweet baby they are. They just give me the food and go away.
Yeah.
Is how they get. So, and at this stage, they want to cuddle everything. So you wouldn't imagine that it would be that subtle and that abrupt, but it really, really is. So they eat all the ticks. Yes. They can eat 5,000-6,000 ticks in a season. We need so many of them, especially in the South. Well, deer ticks are everywhere. It's not just the South. They're everywhere. So yeah, possums eat a ton of ticks. We need that. All right.
So yeah, is that all the things about the possum?
We got to see if there's YouTube questions too. We're blocking YouTube.
Oh, we are with the phone. We're blocking YouTube.
I don't think so. Are they born wild or? Oh, they're born bald. They're born looking like little gummy bears. That's a YouTube question. They are about probably a little bit smaller than a gummy bear, and they're kind of pinkish red with no fur. And they have to go, they have to make their way to the pouch, just like a kangaroo, and find a nipple, and they attach to it for about 2 months before and if you find them very early, like you find possums that have been hit on the road, if you find them when they're very young, you actually can't remove them. Their mouth fuses around that nipple, and you have to take them into an animal rehab facility to get them removed. And they have to be tube fed with a tube that goes all the way into their stomachs. That's if you get them way young. If they're about a month or so in the pouch, you can get them out fairly easily, and you can syringe feed them. So, yep. She's doing close up on Reddit.
Yeah.
We got a better camera for Reddit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the phone camera is better. But see, she's just very chill right now because she's sleepy.
Very sleepy.
And they sleep long amounts of time, so I don't feel guilty messing with her, because when she's
going down, she is done.
Yeah, when she finally goes to sleep,
hi little one.
Yeah, when she finally goes to sleep, believe me, she's going to be out, and she's going to be out for a long time, and she's happy, and she's fed, and she's warm. She's safe. She's safe.
No.
But yeah, see, I don't know if you can see her little tail is curled around my hand.
It's grippy.
Yeah, she'll grip. And like I said, after they eat, one of the first things they do is groom, and that's how you can know that she's done eating. Is A, she'll stop eating, but B, she'll start grooming immediately. And this is Pixie, by the way. So anyway, that was our main section of our podcast. We were discussing possums. So
we're going to switch gears and look at a rabbit hole that I have fallen into.
So is this a conspiracy theory?
A little bit of both. There's a lot of information, a sudden change in government lockdown, a why is this available in one way but not another. It is very interesting. It's a medical thing I found.
Okay, well, Reddit, we are going to go say goodbye to Pixie. Mad World Thursday podcast, and good night. And so now Reddit is done.
Okey doke.
So let's talk about, we are done talking about baby possums. So I'm going to put her up so that she can get all nice and warm. And I'll give you one little close up of the baby right there. Give a good shot of little Miss Pixie.
Keep banging.
And I will let Erin go on her rabbit hole for this podcast. So this was actually supposed to be number 5, right?
This was news story number 5.
news story number 5.
Which was a news of the weird and then turned into a what? Okay. And I actually didn't even copy any text from the article. But basically the article, I came across a thing where people are being accused of drinking bleach to try and cure coronavirus.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you heard anything about this?
Yeah, I know that they are drinking bleach, and I know that they are, it's not a large number of people doing it. It's, some people who just don't really understand how biology works and poisons and what bleach actually does to your system if you try to, drink it.
So here's where it gets interesting. When you heard that story, do you think that people were going and putting Clorox bleach in a cup and diluting it and drinking it?
I actually kind of thought they might be drinking straight bleach.
Okay, because that's how it was spun, right?
Yeah.
So I'm reading this article and I'm like, because specifically the article, and I put the listing to the article on here so you can copy it into the stuff. But the article read, Church of Bleach ordered to stop selling bleach as a COVID-19
that was in Florida,
cure.
right? Wasn't that in Florida? The church, the
It might be. The actual church might be in Florida, but it's also worldwide because I have dug. I have gone swimming in this ocean.
I think when I read about it, it was Florida.
Okay. So when you read that, you think we're drinking bleach. We're drinking Clorox, the stuff you clean your laundry with and pressure wash your house with. Okay. So chlorine bleach that you're using in your washing machine and your swimming pool is sodium hypochlorite. That's what that is. Okay. The bleach that these people are using is chlorine dioxide, which is an entirely different molecule. Now, I failed chemistry. I had a 36 average in chemistry. 36. I failed chemistry. However, that was when I was a teenager. I have grown up enough to be able to break this stuff down. So
sodium is salt? Yeah?
Well, yeah. So chlorine dioxide is one molecule of chlorine, which is its own element. With it looks like a water molecule with a dioxide and an oxygen on each side.
Okay.
So it looks like it's a big one with two littles on the side.
Okay, yeah.
Sodium hypochlorite is a totally different animal.
So that's what Clorox is. So Clorox is sodium hypochlorite.
Right. So
that's not what we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
And we have a friend, and I bring my conspiracy stuff to her because if it's going to be shot out of the sky, it's going to be shot out by Heather. And so I took it to Heather last night, and she immediately told me, "Don't even look at this. Don't get interested in this. This is killing people. It's destroying their intestinal systems. You can't drink industrial bleach." And so she's going off on everything the mainstream media was telling me. So I am of this persuasion that if you protest too much, there's got to be something to it, right? So dig in to this Church of Bleach. What is the Church of Bleach? And there are links. So the Church of Bleach it's a non-religious church. And the reason it was set up as a church, this is fascinating. Okay, so I got to figure out how to start here. Chlorine dioxide is used in municipal water supply. So if you have city water and you notice that slight chlorine smell to your city water, it's chlorine dioxide. Okay. So we use that in very, very tiny amounts to purify our water so that, we don't get amoebic dysentery or any other kind of infections off of our water. We've been drinking it for decades and it's not an issue. So, and a lot of this story was just kind of hitting me in pathways along my life. When we went to Central America, when I lived in Central America as a child, we took with us water purification drinking straws and water purification tablets. Those are also chlorine dioxide. They're kind of yellowish. If you drop them in your water, it'll turn a little yellow. You drink your water and whatever was in it isn't going to hurt you. So I have been raised around this. I know what this is. It's not anything that causes me fear. And I'm going to get my years mixed up because I was literally researching this when she turned the camera on. So I'm not sure how long ago it was. Maybe, I want to say 2012. In 2012, there's some leaked video of the Red Cross using chlorine dioxide in small amounts to treat a village of 146 people who were infected with malaria. And it worked. And it worked like that within hours. The Red Cross has since denounced that this happened. All of the people who were involved in it have either been hushed or they no longer work there. You can't get any validity off of this story. So again, and this is a sidebar, and I'm not going too far down, and I'm just going to say it. The drug that they're talking about using for COVID-19, the hydroxychloroquine, has some of the same molecular components. It's used to treat malaria. It works very effectively, and it also works on a lot of illnesses that are inflammation grounded. So like rheumatoid arthritis is based in inflammation. There's so many things that are, the root cause is some kind of inflammation, which is some kind of reaction, if it's autoimmune or whatever it is. So, all right. So you got this thing that happened. These people were reportedly cured of malaria in 2012 by the Red Cross. Automatically it's hushed. You can't talk about this anymore. But some of the people involved in this wanted to be able to make these products available. And so they started trying to sell them. They called it MMS, the Miracle Mineral Solution, right?
Okay.
But basically what it is.
Wait a minute, but who's marketing it?
This is I'm about to tell you about this.
Okay, the church. Okay, gotcha.
And it's not just this church. It's other people too. But the reason what's fascinating is why these people created a church. You can buy it from other places. I actually have some coming in the mail tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Not from the church. But so basically you get a bottle when you buy these products, and I'm going to tell you about the church in a minute. But you get a bottle of chlorine dioxide, and then you get a bottle of either citric acid or hydrochloric acid.
Okay.
These are common. Citric acid is lemon juice, or you can use vinegar to activate whatever it is, you have to activate it. So you take the drop, you put one drop in and you put the other drop in and you swish it around, it turns yellow, and then you 4 ounces of water and you drink it. So it is supposed to cure, everything. And that's what and this is why, everybody wants to debunk it, because it cures everything. It cures asthma, it cures diabetes, it cures heart disease, it cures everything. Which I don't believe, but if it cures inflammation, I'm working on some arthritis. I'd really like to have that go down. So, the reason there became a church is because, the FDA hates for anything that is really inexpensive and not patentable to work. Right. So you get cracked down on. Mm-hmm. So these guys developed this church. The guy's name is Dr. I don't know if he's a doctor. His name is Jim Humble. His name is Humble, but he's not very humble. And he created this church so that he could sell his solution as the sacrament of that church. Because the FDA and the AMA can't regulate your sacrament.
Oh.
I thought that was genius. And so it's a non-religious church. Anyone can join for $35 a year. I have not joined the church. And you know how much your sacrament costs? $13.50, and will last you all year. So they're not trying to make big bucks off of this. They're just genuinely, they believe in their product that much, and they want as many people in the world to try it as they can.
Okay, so do they have church services?
They have conventions and they have seminars.
Okay, and when they
and the church is called Genesis too, so they are Christian based, but no, they do not have services.
When they offer their sacrament, when they offer their communion,
no, they all teach their parishioners how to individually prepare their own sacrament.
So do they call it communion?
No, they call it their sacrament.
Oh, so they don't call it communion.
They don't give it to one another. They give it to themselves. It's their sacrament. They don't call it communion.
Okay. So this is not not a religious church. But that makes me
you
itch.
see, I find this article about drinking bleach, and you see.
So I mean that just makes me tick. Okay.
I know.
So they call it the sacrament.
Well, it's like Scientology. Or
And-
Scientology, is Scientology a religion of faith?
no, it's
No,
a religion
it's
of
the same
L.
thing.
Ron Hubbard.
It's
and
the same thing.
getting rid of your demons through,
Yeah. I
getting
mean, what
shot.
is a religion? A religion is, taking on practices that you believe will improve your spiritual well-being.
Okay. Well, I'm just like, so I'm going to teach you how to prepare your sacrament. When you drink your sacrament, you must say the magic words, "Oh, holy chlorine."
You
Oh,
you must focus on how this is beneficial to your overall temple.
oh, holy chlorine.
So,
Not sodium hydrochloride. No, not that kind of bullshit.
okay, so now back onto the memory lane. All right?
Okay.
So I am always looking for some kind of cure or treatment or something to make life better through nutrition, through vitamins, through essential oils, through whatever, because I really believe
that's gonna start all the essential oil Karen jokes.
I know, that's fine. I haven't really messed with my oils lately, but they have helped me a lot in a lot of ways. Oh, we have this whole like oil mix that keeps the wasps away. It's crazy. But so no, I've gotten benefit from all of these things. Now, the other thing we have to do when you label this with a title, you can't say chlorine dioxide. And I'm going to tell you why. If you right now logged out of YouTube and did a search on YouTube for chlorine dioxide, you're going to find hundreds of videos gone. Because last week, Susan Wojcicki said that anything that the World Health Organization did not approve was coming down.
Mm.
So all of these homeopathic remedies are coming off of YouTube. And so again, I got fed into that whole thing. If the FDA, the NIH, the WHO, if everybody is trying to silence this, there's got to be something to it.
Okay, so it's an antiviral then.
It's an anti-everything. It's an antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, anti-yeast, kills candida like nobody's business. And what it does, this is how it works.
So do you drink it or do you apply it?
Either way. That's why I was looking up the gel earlier.
Okay.
Right before we started, seriously, I've got notes. I've got little.
So next time you have a yeast infection, you'll try it and then tell me how it works.
Well, I found the gel. I found the gel. Yeah, heck yeah, I'll try it. I mean, I don't get them that often, but if you really want to know, I'll let you know next time it happens.
Good job. YouTube. And the world now knows.
So my trigger was that about 5 years ago, this is really funny because I like to give people, one year I gave everybody I love the Squatty Potty for Christmas. So
yeah, I remember when those were popular.
Yeah, I like to give people stuff that I think they need. That they don't have to. Christmas is not about you. It's about what I think you need. And so
says every mom in the world.
It's not about you. It's about what I think you need. And so one year I gave my mother-in-law a Squatty Potty. I'm not even kidding.
Here, I think you might be a little clogged up. Get that thing out of your behind.
You're kind of tall. You might need to readjust your legs. So I have the 9-inch Squatty Potty. I got her to 7. Anyway, so I remembered the year that I gave everybody mouthwash for Christmas. Because
I'd be offended.
You shouldn't be. I found this mouthwash called Closis. And this was probably about 5 years ago. And I started using Closis mouthwash. And I don't know why I stopped because I haven't used it in forever. This is the first time I bought it tonight in years. It brought my blood pressure down. I was so freaking shocked that I wrote a review for the company and put it on the website. And so tonight I stopped by and picked some up again. And what I remembered about Closis is that Closis is and by no way have they compensated us. This is not a Closis commercial. Okay. This is just a product that I have used and that I like. So Closis has no alcohol in it. All mouthwashes have alcohol. And
So
so
you could give this to an alcoholic and it would be okay.
So I had bought it because, gingivitis, we all get it. And I started using it and I realized that
It's not very strong.
no, it's not. It's got a little bit of mint in it. So if you don't have mint in it, it just smells a little bit like a chlorine, like a swimming pool, but not really that strong. Did you swallow some?
No, I'm like thinking about it.
It tastes like water. It tastes like minty water. And it feels like water. So you're like, what? But try it. So anyway, I don't know why. I don't know what possessed me to buy it.
Should I go try it and then come back and give a review of it?
I think that you should put it in your mouth now and let people see like what you think of it and then go spit it out.
But I can't talk about it. Or
You don't have to talk about it. You can swish and then go spit and then come back. So I bought it. I don't know what possessed me to buy it however many years ago.
Here, take the baby.
Used
for the
it.
baby possum.
I've had hypertension since I was in the middle of a horrible divorce in 2006. And I had to come off of my blood
it
pressure
looks like
medicine.
water. It doesn't. Yeah, it looks like water.
It just looks like water. Had to come off of my blood pressure medicine while I was using it.
I'm like Hannibal Lecter. I have a very sensitive palate.
Go for it.
I don't
want
to
be minty. It's not bad.
Okay.
So I went by tonight to pick it up because I've been reading all this stuff about bleach, and I remembered that basically it smells like a swimming pool, and you can put some mint in it. And so when I picked it up, I said, "What is in this?" Purified water, something they call chloristan, which is, if you look in parentheses, stabilized chlorine dioxide.
Oh, yeah.
And then these are trisodium phosphate. It's a preservative. And citric acid, which activates the chlorine dioxide, right? So this is exactly what the FDA is trying to shut down the Genesis 2 church for selling this. This is exactly you've been buying. I was buying years ago, and we'll go back on.
But
again.
You shouldn't drink this.
Well, that's where the whole thing is. You should not drink this. This is a higher concentration. This you should swish and spit.
I'm going to swish and then go spit.
But then you can drink it at lower concentrations. But yeah, it doesn't taste like anything. It tastes like water with some mint in it. And it doesn't hurt your gums. But swish for a good solid minute and go spit, and your mouth will feel the cleanest it has felt since you went to the dentist last. It's crazy. So I started looking up information on this because I'm glad I had remembered it, because I got into a heated debate. Like my friend last night was telling me, this is going to kill you. Don't you even think about doing it? And I'm listening and I'm like, but no, because seriously, anything the government's trying to hide from me this hard has to have some kind of bearing, right? So I remembered about the closest, and I went and picked it up tonight.
Better than Listerine,
right? And how clean does your mouth feel?
That's like 10 times better than Listerine,
right?
Listerine, I have to actually use water after Listerine because it doesn't hurt, but
it makes your gums shrink up.
It's very like astringent and bothers me. And like I said, I have a very sensitive palate, so it actually gives me like a little bit of a.
And you can get this without the mint, and it just seriously tastes like water. You can get it. You can get it for ultra sensitive tea. I've got it for sensitive. You can get it for ultra sensitive, and it doesn't have the mint in it. So, at this point, I decided to jump down the rabbit hole, and this is because, I've been preparing for this for days, and this is where I was when I walked through the door. I'm sitting down and I'm reading all these patent descriptions and medical research, because here's the crazy thing. When I talk about when something is too difficult to find information, that obviously there's something to it. YouTube has blocked out any videos with the
label,
because if I say it, the freaking they're developing bots that will recognize your words.
You need an actual marker.
I just need something to be able to write some stuff up here, because I don't want this video to be pulled because of that.
Try that.
So what you're looking at is this. Okay. Or this. Okay. That's what you're looking at. If you go to PubMed, which is where I go to pull a lot of medical research, if you go to PubMed.com, you're going to find that there is research on this chemical, but everything's in Portuguese or Spanish or Japanese. They've pulled all the English research.
Can you Google Translate?
You probably could, but you want to try to run dimethyl whatever through a translator. So trying to find research on it now is almost impossible. YouTube has pulled down any videos that show you how to make it, because you can make it at home. You can go to the pool supply store and buy citric acid.
Well, maybe that's why they pulled it, is because it's dangerous to make if you make it wrong.
No, that's not why they pulled it.
Okay.
BitChute has a little bit, but BitChute, most of what BitChute has is from that Genesis 2 church. So you have to listen to people talking nonstop about, all kinds of things that you don't want to hear about. I mean, not that you don't want to hear about, it's just boring.
What is it?
The Genesis 2
church?
No,
the what?
BitChute.
Say that fast.
BitChute. I know. I know. It's becoming the YouTube alternative because they don't censor like YouTube does.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have put, and this is interesting because last night, there's a link in here that I put for everybody if they want to see it. That's okay. There's a link I put in here to a video about this, where last night I was watching the video on YouTube. I tried to pull it up for you today. It's gone. So I found an alternate link on a different website. It's called, I don't even know what it's called, but it's on here so you can find it. That gives you actual laboratory studies and information about how this works and why. Really fascinating. So this is what I have decided.
Okay, wait. I'm going to just recap this a little bit.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we have a conspiracy theory going on,
yes.
right? That there was this chemical, chlorine.
Don't say it out loud.
Chlorine dioxide. That was used to cure malaria.
Mm-hmm. And there's a video that I can find. I don't have it here, but I can send it to you that you can post of Red Cross workers in the village doing this thing.
Okay.
Curing malaria.
In 2012. Then all of a sudden, because this stuff
worked,
is a antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial.
What it is it's like a surfactant. If you've ever heard of that, it's like a sudsless soap to certain cell membranes.
Okay.
Depending on the molecular structure of those cell membranes. So like a virus has a cell membrane, a yeast has a cell membrane. It's all different than human cell membranes. And so certain types of cell membranes that have certain polarity to them, because we're getting into molecular biology, are susceptible to combining with this. When the chlorine molecule binds, that allows the oxidation, the two oxygen molecules, to go into the virus or the bacteria and basically act like peroxide.
Okay.
Fizzles it away.
All right. So they used this thing. Now, were they giving it to them to drink, or were
they were not giving them closest?
No, but they were giving them. Okay,
yes, they were giving it to them in little 4-ounce
cups. This as an example.
Okay, yes.
How were they administering this item to them?
Okay, so you have two bottles. You have the CD, the actual chemical, and an activator. And the activator could be vinegar. It could be lemon juice. It could be hydrochloric acid. It could be anything that makes it fizz. Think of vinegar and baking soda. Okay. And so you put 1 to 3 drops of one part and 1 to 3 drops of the other. You let it swirl around in the cup for about 20 seconds to activate. It'll change colors. It'll turn kind of yellow. And then you pour water in it, 4 ounces of water to whatever you've mixed up.
And then you drink it. And that helps.
And the protocol
is the viral count of malaria down.
Yes. Well, malaria is a parasite, but yes.
So it killed parasite.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's you do this every hour for 8 hours in a day. And you do that for, I think it was 3 days on the malaria. And they were done.
Okay, so is there any proof that it does like viruses?
Yes.
Okay.
Now the protocol for herpes is months. You have to do it every day for about 3 months. The protocol for, there are protocols set up for this. This is like, and this is the problem. It's anecdotally researched because there's no money in it. Pharmaceutical companies can't make money off of this because do you remember the videos where they were hosing down China after COVID-19, they had people in this, and they were hosing the streets down. You remember what I'm talking about?
No, not really.
You know,
no.
yeah. So they had these people in all these suits with these sprayers, and they're spraying with this. They're spraying it with that because it kills all of that stuff. So let me get to where I was going when I first got here.
Okay. So recap. Hold on. All right.
Sorry, recapping again.
So they used it on malaria.
Yes.
And then after this, the church, some guy knew about it somehow.
Jim Humboldt.
Knew about it all somehow and started a church selling the product.
And he did it under the guise of a church so that the FDA could not regulate him.
Okay.
Not because, it's sent from Mount Sinai.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And the 11th commandment.
Right.
So, all right. So now we are at the point where we have this stuff that you can buy from this church that is supposed to help with all sorts of things.
Any number of things, yes.
So, what makes this not snake oil?
I don't know. Well, okay. What makes this not snake oil is okay. So, and that's the thing. I was looking for what makes this not snake oil. A very good question.
Yeah.
That's when I remember the closest, because I remembered it was odd because it wasn't alcohol. It smelled like chlorine. It smelled like a swimming pool. So I went and picked some up tonight just so I could verify it. And because I need to go back on it. I mean, dang. I got to come off of my blood pressure medicine while I was taking that stuff. And then one day I just ran out.
So how did you drink it?
No, I just used it as a mouthwash.
Then how does it lower your blood pressure if you're just using
Well, your oral health is always related to your heart.
But so what is it killing?
It's killing the bacteria because the bacteria that affect your mouth also affect your heart.
Okay.
So, and that's well known. That's scientifically proven. That's all over PubMed. I'm not making that up. That's for real. So, I went to pick that up to make sure that I wasn't remembering wrong. And sure enough, there it is. So I get here and I'm still digging into my research, and I go to the closest website and hit their About Us button and start learning the history of this company. This company partnered with Ropar Pharmaceuticals in 2001.
Now, when you say this company, are we talking about
the company that makes Closest?
Okay, Closest. Okay. All right.
So
the mouthwash.
Whichever dentist it was, I did not write all these names down because I was just in the middle of all this. I will be better prepared next time. The dentist that figured this out got together with some other dentists, and they approached Ropar and came together to start working together. 2001, Ropar seeks a patent on method for treating HIV with chlorine dioxide and a phosphate compound. So I go and I look at this patent. This is what I was reading when I got here earlier. This patent is about making a gel that can be used in the mouth or the vagina or the anus for the treatment of basically anything you could catch there.
Okay.
And so then I go and I look on the Googles for this product. And this product actually exists. Where did I find it? It actually exists. You can buy it. But if you try to find research on it online, you can't find it because all the research has been scrubbed, but the patents exist. So chlorine dioxide.
No, when we say the research has been scrubbed, we're not talking about Closest. We're talking about chlorine dioxide. Okay.
Yeah, like all the research on chlorine dioxide. So, where is it? Because I had found a couple of products that you could actually purchase. Dead time. You'll have to edit that out.
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
Sorry, YouTube.
Shopping. Procure V liquid disinfectant cleaner. No, see, here it is right here. ProFresh 1 month maintenance kit, 2 bottles, activator packs.
Oh, you know what? I have seen this advertised. Oh, wow. I didn't realize that's what that was. Yeah, I saw this advertised on a website advertising crystals to use for
Totally believe it, because it's all alternative medicine at this point. Nobody wants to buy into it. But the cool thing is that an actual research, an actual peer-reviewed study has been applied for it as of April 21st. With a double-blind study. They're getting the people together now to actually do the study to see if this will affect COVID.
Cool. So somebody asked if the special chemical kills all viruses and disease caused by viruses.
Reportedly so. So here's what I'm going to do, because this is of interest to people. And at this point, if you try to find testimonials, like I have found a few, because I know how to dig in places other than Google, and trying to teach that to the world is not easy. So I found some things. But what I'm going to do, because I have diabetes, I have hypertension, I've got metabolic syndrome, basically. I'm an American and I eat the SAD diet. So the standard American diet is SAD. So I ordered a kit, and it's going to be in tomorrow, and I'm actually going to try it. And I'm going to do what they call the Protocol 1000. Yes.
Okay, I was fixing to say, if you're going to try it, what I would also say is don't change anything about your lifestyle.
I'm not going to. The only thing I'm going to change is that I am going to do my fasting sugars and my 2-hour postprandials, and I'm going to record them. And I'm going to, as they say, Protocol 1000 takes 3 weeks. I'm going to do it for 3 weeks, and we're going to see what happens.
Okay. Cool.
So we'll follow that as we record over the next several weeks to see what happens. Now, my issues are not viral. If it works for me, I've got a family member that has a heckin' horrible case of fever blisters. I'm going to see if I can get that family member to do it.
Does she just happen to also have a baby?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see if I can get her to do it. But I don't know if she could do anything for 3 months. She couldn't even carry the baby for 9. Poor baby. We're so premature.
Oh.
But
so big now.
He's huge. He's 3 months, adjusted 3 months, but is on the weight chart for 6 months old.
He's a big baby.
Big old baby. So, but yes, to that effect, the study I was mentioning, the 2001 Ropar patent specifically was to treat herpes, HIV, Candida, because Candida can be opportunistic in some people, where they just cannot get rid of it. And I think C. diff.
Oh,
so we're gonna
that's
see.
some dangerous stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna see. You have to, according to those who have used it, your goal is to get to 3 drops an hour for 8 hours a day. But if you start off with 3 drops an hour, you're probably going to end up puking and having diarrhea. So I'm going to start at a half a drop, because I don't throw up for anybody.
Okay.
I don't do that. So I'm going to start at a half a drop and do that for 8 hours a day. And then if that goes well, then the next day I'll do a whole drop, and I'll just build my way up. But I'm going to do it, and I'm going to keep notes, and I will be the guinea pig. And we'll see. I'm going to drink bleach to try to cure my ails.
But see, when you call it, I'm going to drink bleach.
I know. And I was listening.
Completely...
The only things left on the internet are things that want to debunk it. Right. So I'm listening to this thing today from some news station in Canada, and they're coming after this guy who's still selling it. And the guy who's selling it does everything I did, went through the whole thing. There is, sodium hypochlorite, and then there is chlorine dioxide. Both are considered bleaches because both will whiten things. And sodium or this thing, the chlorine dioxide, is used in paper processing. So people want to go to these extremes, and they want to say, you're drinking a product of paper production, you're drinking bleach, But when you get into a chemical model and understanding what that means, what chemistry means, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Lemon juice will bleach. Put it in your hair and stand in the sun. There are brewer's yeast is what ends up at the bottom of the pot when you make beer. But if you take brewer's yeast tablets, mosquitoes won't bite you. So framing things and spinning things are so unfair when it comes to trying to just make yourself better. And I don't know if it's going to work. It may not work. I might have bought snake oil. I don't know.
Okay,
But I'm
so
going to try.
what are the naysayers saying?
The naysayers are saying that it is Clorox bleach and you're going to kill yourself.
Okay. Well, we'll see if you die in 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
then, all right, we'll
Yeah. I mean, it's a chance I'm willing to take. Because I have used this mouthwash. I have used this product. I know what this is. And it has been so beneficial in my life.
I might get Kevin to try this.
I can leave it here for you. I can pick up another bottle on the way home. It is not a big deal. It really helps with heart stuff. I'm not even kidding. Because most of what attacks your heart valves is what attacks your gums. Same bacteria.
All right. Well,
That's our rabbit hole for tonight.
Yeah, that is our episode of Mad World Thursday. So
If I'm not dead next week, I'll be back.
right. So
And if I am dead,
so just to recap, tonight we talked about baby possums because we happen to have one and we could show it off, and about possum mythology and folklore. And then we also talked about the possibility of a chlorine hydroxide that can what?
chlorine dioxide.
Dioxide, because I did great in chemistry too. That might be able to cure all your ills. Also, squatty potties.
And squatty potties.
Yep.
Try giving one to your mother-in-law
Yep.
for Christmas.
Get that thing stuck up your butt out.
So,
All right, guys. That is us for this week of Mad World Thursday. And we'll be back next week with I'm still waiting on to talk about something paranormal. So we gotta do it next week.
we got to do something paranormal.
We did folklore this week. So
What are we going to do?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Give us suggestions. If anybody has a suggestion, you can get us on Facebook. You can get us on, or you can go to madworldthursday.com. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitter. We have a Patreon.
Luke, you are going to have to start all over. But the most interesting conspiracy stuff has been in the last 20 minutes.
Yep. And then, Luke, you've already seen all of our baby possums.
Yeah, we
So
got
you're-
we got another one.
Yeah,
Look,
so
here.
you're,
See, hello.
yeah, so you're, you don't care about that. The last hour is really what you care about. But anyway.
So if I'm not dead next week, Luke, we'll talk to you. And Luke, at some point, Luke wants to do a 501c3 that's going to be awesome. He wants to help people get service animals, and we need to help him do that.
Okay.
I've not forgotten. Roadkill. All right, y'all.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, baby possum. You gotta go to bed. She's like, oh.